Yo, yo, yo. Testing 1, 2. Hey, what a do, baby? It's Chad from Chaotic Tired. You guys know me. Really enjoyed this episode. Talked about Lemon Demon's Spirit Phone. Talked about one of Led Zeppelin's first albums. Not their first, their third to be quite specific. But had a lot of fun with Caleb, and we tried to get a little experimental with the microphone situation. He brought his own microphone, and we used Voicemeeter to combine the two into one Audacity form instead of using a microphone array, which causes problems. But enough of the peeks behind the curtain. What I'm trying to say is you're going to hear a little bit of an echo. That was the microphones overlapping that we didn't realize was happening until the end of the episode or so. So hang in there. We're going to either go back to one microphone, one laptop next time we record, or two laptops, two microphones, and kind of stay a little bit further away so that doesn't happen. Maybe turn the sensitivity of the microphones down. It's going to sound a lot better. But just thought I'd throw that out there. And yeah, had a really good episode. Had my first post recording to correct something. That's neat. That's pretty cool. Always loved being wrong and then listening to myself be wrong and then having to correct myself for being wrong. But enough of this. This is episode 6 of Chaotic Tired. So now I'm hitting record, and now we're talking on the podcast.
Now this is the podcast. Hey guys, I have a donut.
This is the podcast.
Yo, I have a donut.
Yes, he does.
I'm eating it right in front of your ears.
Let me check something.
Yeah, check another thing. Let's check more things on the podcast this time.
Hey, man. It's got to be perfect.
Guys, Chad just spent an hour trying to get this 2-mic scheme to work. And we're sitting 4 feet apart. We're sitting 4 feet apart, but we need 2 mics to make this work. So,
well, unless you
an hour of messing with software. Well, look, it's been. I'm not saying it was a waste of time. I am saying I'm no longer in a level-headed state. I have kind of fallen apart.
That was my goal the whole time, was to make you a little loopy, a little goofy, little loopy.
That's manipulative and scary.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's like a Charles Manson type. You gotta get the people that you're preying on in an altered state of mind to be more manipulative.
My good friend Charles.
I gotta charge my laptop now. I didn't think we would.
What?
I thought we would be able to make it through on one single charge of the top.
All right, guys.
And then we spent an hour.
I'm taking over the podcast. This is a disaster.
Crappy technology. That's all one word rules everything around me. Dollar bill, y'all.
First mandate. We gotta talk about that drive-by at Dylan's place, and I gotta point out that
it was
another guy. Oh, okay. Well, another guy died in Lake Johnson, which is what I live at.
The complex that you live at, or the area?
I just live next to Lake Johnson in the neighborhood, like right around.
Oh, yeah. I've actually been to that neighborhood. I dropped you off one time.
Yeah.
For your dentist appointment.
Yeah. So a while back, I read on WRAL. I had no knowledge of this. Second dead body in 3 months found in Lake Johnson, and I was like, wait.
Like in the lake or near the lake?
I think in the lake.
Oof.
And then last week,
popular dumping spot.
Yeah, there were police at the lake for like overnight, like basically 2 days, just by the boathouse, and they blocked off the road. Nobody could get in. They were looking. They had divers and stuff. They were looking for a guy whose belongings had been found next to the lake, but he was gone. And he did. He died. He went in the water.
So he died looking for the remains, or
no? This guy just decided to go in the water and died.
Oh. And
they don't suspect foul play, so he was like 25 at most.
So he was fit, probably.
Yeah, he was pretty young. No, he was actually. I think he was a big on fitness. I'm confused how he drowned, but he did.
Huh.
It's not a great swimming lake either. It's kind of gross. I don't know.
So they did find the remains, or they didn't find the remains?
They did.
They did.
They did.
And no foul play, so he wasn't like hit over the head. He didn't slip and bust his head open on a rock or something.
That's what I heard last. You never know.
I wonder if he died like really stupid in a stupid way, and they were just like, no foul play, he drowned. But really, he was like, I don't know, he just slipped, and it was less embarrassing than drowning. Would you rather die and have everybody know that you died from not being able to tread water, or slipping on a rock and bleeding unconscious and also in water? Does that make sense? Like you slip, you're unconscious, and then you're just in the lake and you drown.
What's the thing that actually happened in this scenario, the first one?
So you're gonna die either way. Am I
choosing the way I die, or am I choosing the way people think I died?
No, I mean, the way you die is the way people will know that you died.
Okay. Slip and hit my head on the rock. Probably. It's a sucky way to go out. But the other one...
I don't think so. I think if you're instantly unconscious, I think that's the... Probably one of the least... I mean, people... When there was a Simpsons episode where Homer and Bart were like in a ship that was about to capsize, and Homer like knocked Bart out with a fire extinguisher because he didn't want him to experience the pain of drowning. Very specific, but that's like what that's what I thought of.
I mean, yeah, it's less painful, but the first thing implies that you died. You said treading water. I'm taking you literally here.
Sure. You're out in the middle of the lake. You're swimming.
It means I decided to walk into Lake Johnson.
Yeah.
A gross, mossy...
Debatable.
It's not... You're not supposed to swim in it.
Okay.
That's a rule.
I guess I didn't... Oh, it is a rule. I guess it's a rule now that 2 people died in 3 months.
Jeez. Yeah, no. Well, now it's 3 people in a year, I guess.
Oh, a third person.
Yeah, the guy that I was talking about is the third person.
Oh, wow.
The other 2 were unconnected a while back. People can drown accidentally. That happens. They overestimate their ability to swim, but it's not that wide of a lake, and he was athletic.
Yeah.
If I'm putting myself in his place, I would rather have slipped and fallen, but I still think it's one of those stories where it's like,
yeah,
the person went out like a chump, like nothing killed them. They got killed by... It wasn't a disease that they battled. Or,
just a lame way to go.
Oopsie daisy.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a big accident. Like you shouldn't have died at all.
Mm-hmm. Like people fell out of planes and survived, but me, I was walking around a lake and I just...
Yeah.
And I'm gone.
I just goofed it. I freaked it.
Nihilism.
Oh man, I was gonna say something. Oh, literally, my thought in my head was like, I need to make a joke about Lake Johnson and about these people. Like, I just couldn't think of one. This will all be cut.
That's where.
Yeah. So my thought was like, I need to make a joke. No joke came. Was I thinking of something? Physically say that.
Lake penis.
Not a good start.
Lake penis.
Oh man, how do we segue off of that? That's rough.
I don't know, because I don't know what we're talking about.
Well, I guess to trace back the origins of how that conversation started, we're talking about Dylan's roommates living in a bad apartment. And that stemmed from there being a car honking outside of my apartment and me coincidentally going and locking the front door because the door was unlocked. And he's like, what, do you get a lot of drive-bys around here? And so now we officially know how we got from point A to point literally probably F.
Yeah.
A lot of steps taken there.
Somebody honked their horn, Chad locked his front door, and...
Locked the door, talked about friends drive-by, talked about relevant drive-by, talked about Lake Johnson, talked about how we would rather die, talked about Simpsons.
How we would just in general rather die. I would rather die.
Yeah.
Right. Can we?
No. How would you die, though? If you had a choice, if you were like, and we'll say like you can live a full life too. It's not like young or anything like that, but like you're 80 years old, you're 100 years old. How do you die?
A thermonuclear explosion.
Ooh, just instant.
Heart of the blast. Yeah, not enough time for the electrical impulses to travel from all the parts of my body to my brain to tell me I'm in pain before my brain is disassembled into atoms. You know?
Yeah.
And it's very dramatic, very cool. It'll look cool from a distance.
People will just find your shadow. Just your soot shadow.
I'm at the middle. My shadow will be the earth. I will be scattered.
The rock that your shadow was on, it doesn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know how I'd want to die. I don't like thinking about this question, but I love hearing people's opinions in the hopes that one day I will finally decide, oh yeah, that doesn't sound terrible. That doesn't sound awful.
Lethal injection?
No.
That one's probably pretty awful.
Because, I mean, that one you just go to sleep, right? Or are you awake for it? Are you aware that it's happening?
No, they put you to sleep, but the thing about lethal injection is there's lots of controversies cropping up and have been for years where things going very wrong with it, and states struggling to get a hold of the drugs they need to execute it in the way it was recommended in the first place, and people questioning the science of it. Yeah. People have woken up.
Oh.
Yeah. And the thing that actually kills you in those, there's like 3 different drugs. There's like one that puts you to sleep, puts you under, a big old painkiller and analgesic, and then like the thing that courses through your body that apparently burns like hell and stops your heart. And that's what you wake up to if things go wrong.
Why not, and hear me out, why not put him to sleep, big fat painkiller, sword in the heart. Sword in the heart.
Yeah.
We don't need to burn every single ventricle, every vein in their body with another expensive chemical. Just, they're unconscious, they're not going to feel it. Sword in the heart. Guillotine. Guillotine is so much faster than sword in the heart.
After this whole, like in the midst of, I can't put dates on any of this, and I don't even remember the state in which the specific thing I'm about to say happened, but there was a state, maybe it was Texas, that was like, screw it. And they just had a firing squad. They were like, this has gotten too complicated.
Oh my gosh.
It's possibly less humane than the old way, so we're just going to draft 5 people from the community.
The community, not even soldiers.
Give them
not
all
even
a gun.
Police force.
I think it's like 5 people, not maybe more. But one person has a blank.
Yeah.
Everybody else,
one single person. So
they don't know who it is.
There's plausible deniability that,
Yeah.
I didn't actually shoot
I might
them.
not have shot this person. And everybody takes aim at center of mass at their heart,
Right.
and they all fire.
I really think the guillotine should come back. I don't think capital punishment should be a thing, but I think that lethal injections is too expensive. Firing squad is just dumb when you can literally just make a contraption to slice their head off. What is going on, people?
I think that the graphic...
Keep it simple, stupid.
I think
Kiss
that
of
the
death.
graphic content, the image that comes to mind, and the brutal reality of what happens when you chop someone's head off is what's going to prevent that from being mainstream.
Really? Just the thought of it?
You can't...
Just the thought of it? Is my microphone not being picked up?
Oh my cool.
Gosh. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think my microphone was being picked up, but that's weird. Anyway.
Yeah. You're detaching their head from their body. Alright?
Yeah.
What if they have a family?
Mm-hmm.
Their son or daughter has had their head removed from their body. They can't have an open casket. Well, I mean,
do they get open caskets? Do they get open caskets if they've been executed by the state?
I'm assuming they get buried, and they can get buried by their family in the way that their family wants to do it. I don't think the state has control of their body once they're dead.
Give them a really high collared suit.
Yeah, or
reattach them.
Like you can give them a scarf or something. Yeah. So yeah.
A lot of inmates are gonna have some favorite scarves coming up pretty soon that their families are gonna bury them with. Yeah, no, this is mean.
I think that I and a lot of other people would probably not be comfortable with the fact that we're lopping off heads.
I don't feel comfortable that we're killing people. Just stop.
Yeah, that too.
This is why I'm being so animated about it, because like it's all dumb.
Yeah. It's a difficult topic.
Put them in jail for the rest of their life. You don't have to kill people to make them miserable and atone for their crime.
Yeah.
If my family was murdered by somebody, I wouldn't want them dead. The dark part of me would want them to live for the rest of their life like I have to now, knowing what they did.
Yeah, I mean, it won't bother some people. Some people are as close to evil as you can get. Some people are monsters.
Yeah.
I think that that's true. But I do think that it's also kind of screwy to have such a hair trigger on executing people when, new evidence can come to light, people can be exonerated, questions can be brought to light. You don't want to execute an innocent person.
I think isn't it like when you're executing people, they're like the people that have done these terrible crimes and also don't feel bad about them at all or something like that, or they're like reveling in it, or is it like what makes it like require capital punishment, if that makes sense?
That's not a rule. I think that capital punishment is probably like there's different levels of there's different levels of crimes that can be committed, and it's up to the judge, I believe, to do the sentencing. So the judge can do up to the worst thing allowed by the law for whatever act was committed.
Correct.
And it's up to the judge to decide whether or not the person's gonna die in that case.
Interesting.
So it's not really, they don't do a psychological test on them to see if they have no capability to feel for other human beings. They don't execute solely psychopaths or violent sociopaths or whatever the correct terminology would be.
The past 10 seconds you've been explaining this to me, I've had Alanis Morissette's Ironic going through my head, because there's a line where they're like something about a guy having like being exonerated from a crime, but he's being put to death 2 minutes too late. It's like rain.
So I remember that as the song.
On your wedding day.
For every ironic thing they list is not actually ironic.
Isn't it ironic?
Rain on your wedding day?
Don't you think?
No.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. A lot of the things in there are unfortunate. Rain on your wedding day? I don't know. Rain on your wedding day. The only way that could be ironic is like the expectation is that it's sunny and pretty, but it's raining.
That's deep.
Maybe some sort
That's
of like,
deep, Alanis.
if you were writing a book, maybe that could be some sort of like thematic setting based ironies. It's like that's a juxtaposition.
These are juxtapositions. It's not ironic.
Yeah.
Alanis. Imagine how many people have to call her Alanis. Imagine that name.
I don't remember
Alanis.
that.
It's so close to Atlantis.
The only context I know that song from is my English teacher being upset.
Oh,
I've never actually listened to it.
She was mad that it wasn't actually ironic.
Yeah.
There was a Lonely Island song where they were basically doing a bunch of sentences that required a colon.
Oh.
But it was called semicolon. And at the end, they're like, oh, hey, what up? It's Mrs. Waters from my 4th grade English. And she's like, they were hitting on a girl and they were using a bunch of sentences that required like a colon. And they ended every verse with like semicolon, like sentence, colon, semicolon. And then they're like, so are you impressed? And she's like, these were all examples of a colon. You're saying semicolon. And then she like that's how she like stiffs them. It's very funny.
Yeah.
Speaking of music, we thought that we would put a little order into the chaos of things.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I know. I sent a recommendation for an album to listen to Caleb. I told him to go listen to a specific album that I like, and he likewise gave me an album to listen to. Do you want to go over what do you want to share? What do you want to talk about first? What should we gab about first, Caleb?
Well, I didn't realize the one that you gave me was Neil C. Serega initially.
Yes.
I read Lemon Demon and I was like, that sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. And I looked straight at his stylized face on the album cover. Yeah. And I didn't realize immediately. But I don't know. At some point along the way, I came back to consciousness and realized, oh, this is a funny man from the internet, and he's making a serious album. Guy. And it's pretty good.
Yeah, it is really good.
It's pretty good.
So the album that I sent Caleb was Lemon Demon's Spirit Phone.
Spirit Phone.
It's Spirit Phone.
Spirit Phone.
I didn't give him the one with the like 40 minutes of bonus tracks, because half of them are just like different versions of the songs that he came out with. Like he some of the songs in this album are like not remasterings, but like different versions of songs that he made 7 or 8 years ago. Like he's been doing some of these songs, like I think Reaganomics, a couple of them. I don't know, maybe the Cabinet Man. They're like other versions that he made 5, 6, 7 years ago that sound completely different. And so he has like 40 minutes of like these extra tracks that didn't quite make it on. I just told him to listen to the 1 hour version, which was
just the standard songs.
Well, I looked it up on Spotify, and it was all one thing. I didn't listen to the bonus tracks, but they exist, and I can see them.
Have you heard any of the songs from this album before listening to it yesterday?
No, I don't think so.
Having like just listened to it for the first time, no expectations going in, and only having heard it once.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe this album to somebody? Like, what would you describe this album as if you were to categorize it as something?
A maniac with a synthesizer, a digital synthesizer.
There's a lot of synth in this.
Imitates the 80s. And I say imitates. That's not correct. I think that I felt a lot. Yeah, I felt a lot of that spirit. But it didn't feel like as much of an imitation as that one Bruno Mars song that I can't think of the name of right now. Like, it doesn't...
Oh.
Yeah.
Treasure maybe? Treasure. That is what you are.
Maybe just Bruno Mars.
He does a lot of 80s stuff.
Yeah,
he does have a lot. And like 21 Karat Magic especially.
That's... Yeah,
there's a lot of like synth, and it's very poppy by nature. He just does a lot of pop music, but I think he was very heavy on the synth in 21 Karat Magic.
So this album sounds a lot like unhinged 80s pop, which is something that I actually really enjoy. And there's some of that from like David Bowie and the Talking Heads.
Talking Heads, yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I found the Talking Heads after listening to this. One of the comments was like, "This is like Talking Heads." I'm like, I gotta check out Talking Heads because I literally love this album so much. What are some of the songs about?
Wow, that's hard. That's nice. That's fair. Well, there seems to be kind of if there was a unifying theme that I was trying to dig out of it, it's paranoia or conspiracy. I know in Lifetime Achievement Award, the song ends with him saying, due to my personal convictions,
That was right in the beginning. That's right at the end,
Yeah, it finishes out that way. Due to my personal convictions, I have to inform you that this is not...
due to my strong personal convictions, I wish to stress that this album in no way endorses a belief in the occult.
Yeah.
That was a quote by, I think, Michael Jackson on the Thriller album somewhere. I think it was like either a label on the album or it was very briefly said or something like that. But that's like from Michael Jackson's spookier album.
Yeah. I can see that. And there are a lot of little references and a lot of dark sayings in these songs. But it's all very upbeat and very, very fun, and I really enjoy that in music sometimes.
Yeah, I love it when a song sounds like the person singing it is crazy.
Yeah, no, his singing through most of the songs is pretty wild, and I can't remember which song it was. I noticed I was re-listening to some of them because I can't really get a feel for stuff through one listen through.
Yeah,
I kind of felt like I had missed out on really digging into stuff, at least like in the second half of the album.
Yeah. So in the first couple of songs, it's talking about, I think the first one is Lifetime Achievement Award. It's talking about them literally having the body of Michael Jackson and then saying that he's such a wonderful, useful person in culture or whatever that they're reviving him. So it's a cult reviving him. And then the joke was that then he was using Michael Jackson's words to say, I don't believe in the occult or whatever. That's cool. Like a good callback, but and then the next one was Cabinet Man.
No, it's Touch-Tone Telephone.
Oh, Touch-Tone Telephone.
Which I think
that's the Paranoid song.
Yeah,
that's the really Paranoid song
where he talks about the only sane thing to do is to believe it's all true or something like that.
Yeah, it's like a crazy conspiracist unified theory person.
Yeah,
where, like you're mixing all conspiracy theories together because they're all related. He's like sending a letter or a message to Leonard Nimoy, Spock, the guy who did Spock.
Okay.
And at least I think so. I think it is.
I can't correct you on that.
He also hosted a show was it like Unsolved Mysteries? It was one of those shows like in the 90s or something like that, where, you know, he was like a conspiracy theorist TV show figurehead. And so he's sending this message to the guy who has played Spock, and he's like, you know, everybody thinks I'm crazy, but I know you will trust me.
Yeah.
And it just, he makes it sound really believable, and how his voice kind of goes up and down. Like, he has a really pitchy, like a crazy 80s voice.
I was about to say, he can sing way better than I realized.
Yeah.
Out of some of these, that was what I was trying to figure out, which song it was where he did this crazy thing with his voice that I wasn't expecting.
If I make it through tonight, everybody's gonna hear me out.
Yeah, but beyond, like, it was more like he sings with that cadence, which is fun. But then this one part was like specifically just an impressive, like legitimately impressive thing he did with his voice.
I try to call you every day. What can I say when the truth comes out? I've been working on a unified theory. If I make it through tonight, everybody's gonna hear me out. 'Cause I'm the right one on my touch-tone telephone. On my touch-tone telephone. I'm the only one on your AM radio. On your AM radio.
For such a techno heavy album, I didn't hear very much auto tune or anything.
No,
it sounded like you were just going at it.
He's really good at layering stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's had so much practice making mashup songs.
That's true.
From like mouth sounds, mouth moods, mouth silence.
The first thing I noticed about the album was in Lifetime Achievement Award, it started out and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. The pattern of notes that he was following was kind of simple, and every time it ended, it kind of felt like it was starting again. It didn't really flow back into itself. But as the song goes on, stuff starts to pile on, and it crescendos kind of crazily. I can no longer tell what's happening, but it works. It fits together, and I started to vibe with it, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I really like those songs in the beginning. So like when I first started listening to this album, I was really into Cabinet Man, and I would like listen to the album, and then I would listen to that song on loop, and then I would listen to Lifetime Achievement Award on loop. And recently, I kind of didn't listen to it for half a year, something like that. And now I've been listening to some of the songs on the back end. He does a song called basically most of the songs are something about conspiracy theory or something supernatural. So like you have a song like Shortly After Cabinet Man, which is about a guy fusing with an arcade cabinet, and then kids going missing because they're like jostling the machine and destroying it, and then he's like abducting them or making them go crazy or something like that. Wow,
I really did not make sense out of a lot of these songs. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the idea is like it's like half man, half machine, and it kind of calls back.
Yeah, he does say that. He literally says that in the song.
There's an old, I don't know, I guess like a creepypasta before they were called creepypastas, urban legend. What's the machine called? It's like Veltros or Velcro, like, oh man, I should look that up. Where's my phone?
Tron.
I don't know where my phone is. It's disappeared.
Uh-oh.
Oh well.
You do have a computer.
I do have a computer, but I don't want to.
Okay.
But anyway, the arcade machine was like around for one summer in the 80s, and like a bunch of people vaguely remember it, and there was like kids getting vertigo from playing this machine, and then it comes out, oh, that was a government test on like hypno-ware on it just, you know, it didn't exist. It was fake.
LSD.
Or was it?
Uh-oh.
But that's kind of what this one was based off of. And then it goes into stuff like, you know, dating a no-eyed girl, falling in love with the no-eyed girl, Sweet Bod. There's a guy like doing a mummification process, but looking at all the mummy parts as like sweet candy. and flirting with the cadavers and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
that was a total twist on just a normal kind of catcally kind of
Yeah, just like a
love song.
You know I've got to have you. Yeah. You sexy sweet cadaver. All wrapped up like a mummy. I'll cover you in honey and wait 100 years or so. You know it isn't sexual. Strictly confectional.
dead body and making it like a pop song. But after it gets through some of these sort of like cryptid conspiracy songs, it gets more into like just some songs that he's had for a while, like "As Your Father, I Expressly Forbid It."
Yeah.
That's just like a
Song about dad,
Yeah,
a very-
dad, like
Dad with something
being
to
mad at
prove.
his son. There's Reaganomics. There's
Reaganomics is fun.
what was the other song called? My Life or
Iron My Life,
Iron My
which
Life.
comes right before Reaganomics and ties into it actually, I think.
Yeah. It's talking about like, I will work until the day I die and I will live in a normal house. It's kind of like the Talking Heads.
Once in a
Watching
lifetime.
the days go by, letting the
Oh,
like in the
yeah.
beginning where he's like, and you may find yourself in a shotgun.
Yeah,
shot,
once in a lifetime.
And you might find yourself with a beautiful wife, and you might say, "This is not my beautiful wife," and it's like just that existential.
Yeah.
Oh crap, I have a normal life. Like this is lame, or this isn't what I wanted, or something.
I'm losing all my hair, losing all my hair. I'm losing all my hair because a man provides. I'm standing on a chair, standing on a chair. I'm standing on a chair because I earn my life. I earn my life. I earn my life. I learned it from my father and I tell it to my wife. Jesus Christ, doesn't it not to hurry? I wouldn't be so worried if I wasn't always right.
Iron in My Life is.
Waking up out of the trance.
So it goes like from 6, 7, 8 songs of like supernatural stuff. Eighth Wonder was a really good one. It was talking about the mongoose.
Uh-oh, Chad's about to say a bunch of dumb, wrong stuff. Right, so I'm about to go on and conflate two stories about mongooses, one being Geff, the 1932 resident of the Irving family in Britain, became sort of a long-standing hoax, and a lot of the lines in the songs are just straight-up quotes of Geff, the mongoose earthbound spirit. If you want to read about that, the Wikipedia page has, I'm sure, everything that Neil C. has used to make the song. But yeah, Geff apparently comes from New Delhi, India in 1852. That was one of the very specific facts about him. And Rikki Tikki Tavi is from the Jungle Book, and that came out in 1894 and is about a young Indian mongoose. So I think that is where I conflated the two. That sort of thing happens. Sometimes you mix up your mongoose lore. It's just going to happen sometimes. But yeah, this is my first post fix. Hopefully I'm never going to have to do anything like this again, because I am never going to be wrong again in a podcast ever again.
Do you know that?
No, I don't. I didn't make much sense of Eighth Wonder.
So there was in the 1800s, late 1800s, there was a house in wherever, just like a not important house, and there was a girl that was claiming there is a ghost talking to me, and it is in the form of a mongoose, and his name is so and so.
Not Rikki Tikki Tavi.
Rikki Tikki Tavi.
Oh,
that's
it
it.
was?
That was about Rikki Tikki Tavi.
Interesting. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, so it was a song about Rikki Tikki Tavi, just saying all of the stuff that we know about it. Then it transitions into like the Reaganomics, Iron My Life. One of the songs that I've been listening to on loop is Man-Made Object, where it talks about, I want to calculate construction costs all night. I want to, just boring construction stuff.
Yeah.
And then the twist is like, I have a vision. I have the means. I have the strangest dreams. And then it's like, oh, he doesn't just want to build something. He's crazy. He's building like a crazy shrine or something like that. It was really cool.
I remember that lyric because I liked the way it sounded.
I have a vision of a man-made object. I have the money, I have the means, I have the strangest dreams.
So like it kind of ramps up from what he wants to do. He wants to calculate construction costs. He wants to study local zoning laws.
I want to meet potential architects all night. I want to purchase urban real estate all night. I want to study local zoning laws all night. I want to calculate construction costs all night.
I love anything like this, like Gravity Falls type. There's something under the surface, like a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I'm skeptic by nature, so I don't believe in conspiracy theories, but I love the idea of them. So this album.
No,
was
Touch-Tone Telephone's really fun.
Oh yeah, that's a fun one.
Because stories where somebody believes they're crazy are being told they're wrong, but in reality they know what's going on. Those are pretty cathartic. Those are fun. Like Legion.
Is that a TV show?
It's a TV show about. It's in the X-Men canon. It's from that area.
Oh, okay.
And the main character, it's not really revealed on the show directly, but he's Professor X's son. At the beginning, he believes he has paranoid schizophrenia, but it turns out.
Is he like reading minds or something?
And then some. He's very, very powerful. It gets very confusing. It gets really, really confusing. Yeah. And then there's some reveals, and then there's season 2, which I'm working through now. But it's a cool show.
I'll have to watch that. I need to learn more about the X-Men canon because like I haven't seen any of the original Hugh Jackman, like the first 2002 onward movies and stuff like that. I need to just like either read the plot or watch the movies or something because I'm in the dark whenever people start talking about X-Men. I'm just like, ugh.
I got into it with like Days of Future Past and Logan, which are amazing movies. And going back, a lot of those movies were well received, but I thought that the first X-Men movie, and I think 3 is regarded as bad by everybody.
Is that the one with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool?
No, that's X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was very bad.
Yeah.
But I didn't think the first X-Men was all that amazing either. But I'm spoiled. Superhero movies didn't always used to be as coherent and as good as they are today. Yeah. So it was a pretty decent movie. I think the special effects didn't age super well.
They walked so that the Avengers could run.
Yeah. The Avengers did run.
So what album did you have me listen to, Caleb?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I also really liked the song When He Died off the album.
Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah.
That was one that I listened to a lot.
I could pretty much tell what was going on there, and this guy died.
It's a very simple plot. It's just like a bunch of different cases where like weird stuff happens when somebody dies.
I thought it could be one guy, and the reason I thought that was because they keep revealing more and more weird, wacky, kind of scary things about this person's remains or what they left behind. Like when he died, they found all of the skulls, but not his or something like that. It sounds better in the song because or the stuff etched into his spine or whatever else. I pieced it together. I imagine it as one person with all these kind of wacky supernatural things happening.
That's such a good point. I never made that connect. I always thought it was just like a bunch of isolated crazy events.
Well, I watched this movie that made me think that way. I don't watch horror movies very often.
Yeah, I don't either.
I watched this one because I was with some friends, and
I can stomach horror movies like with a bunch of people.
It was called The Autopsy of Jane Doe. It did haunt me. I could go to sleep, but it wasn't fun. The movie is about this corpse that gets dug up in a police investigation of like this kind of crazy murder that's happened in this house. Yeah. Like 3 people are dead or something.
Oh wow.
And they go into the basement and they find this like pale white corpse, perfectly preserved. Looks like it died that day, but it's like halfway dug out of the ground. So they take it to the coroner. This dad and son are like the main characters in the movie. We're introduced to them first, or we're introduced to their characters after we're shown that little hint, and then they have to do an autopsy on this corpse. And as they do the autopsy, everything starts to get weirder and weirder. Like, how old is this thing? Where is it from? How did it get here? And it's like the corpse is holding secrets. It's like, maybe it's not this pristine, beautiful woman, or I don't want to spoil too much, but they cut into it at one point. Actually, when they first cut into her, she bleeds. And they're like, wait, this shouldn't be happening. Rigor mortis should have set in. The corpse shouldn't be bleeding. And so they believe it to be fresh, maybe too fresh, but then there's signs that it's much older, and they start finding things inside, and then things start getting weird around them. And so this creepy treasure trove of a corpse was something that I have now stuck in my brain.
Are they being haunted by her?
Yeah.
That's spooky.
It's pretty spooky. I mean, they were in a freaking morgue the whole time underground.
Just to sort of date this thing, have you been watching E3 coverage?
Yeah.
Did you see whatever her name is, the little Japanese lady?
I saw the Cyberpunk 2077 reveal. I saw a little bit of Nintendo stuff. I saw the Avengers reveal, and I saw the Watch Dogs stuff. I didn't watch E3 straight through. Yeah. So I'm not sure.
There was one woman early on where she was just like, she's just like a cute looking lady, and she was like, everybody just agreed, oh yeah, this is like an adorable, wholesome lady, and she was like, I think her English was like a little broken, not broken, but it was a very cute accent, and she at one point she just goes, "It's spooky," and because it was like a R-rated game, it was like I don't know if it was Death Stranding or some other game like that. It was like a horror game. And she goes, "It's spooky,"
and everybody died.
Everybody died. So what album did you have me listen to?
Had you listen to Led Zeppelin III, the third one of the ones that they made?
The third installment.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. I really liked it. I like Led Zeppelin. The only like classic rock I'll listen to is like when it's on the radio, when I'm like driving with my parents somewhere.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that, not specifically. I don't go out of my way to like listen to classic rock, but I definitely don't dislike any Led Zeppelin. I don't like look at a Led Zeppelin song and like, oh, I don't like that one. Because I'm like that with a lot of things. Yeah. But like, I consistently like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, well, it's pretty hard to not. They have songs that are not as good as other songs, but it's hard to listen to any of their songs and say this was done poorly. Yeah. There's a lot of crafting, and if the song's, a little off kilter, it's still going to be executed really well. Yeah. That's something I like about them.
Off Hilter's Kilter.
Yeah. And people who are fans of the band will say that they've never made a bad song.
There's like some known songs on there. There's Immigration Song.
Immigration Song. That's a bad translation.
Yeah, I know.
Immigrant Song.
Yeah. Oh, duh. What was the other one? There was like another popular one. If I saw the list, I'd be able to tell you.
Maybe Since I've Been Loving You?
Maybe.
Or was it That's the Way? I don't think they play that on radio very often.
I've heard it. I listen to Classic Rewind on Sirius sometimes, and there's Classic Rewind, and then there's like another classic rock song or classic rock station that will do like probably like a song like Gallows Pole, where it's like a popular band but one of their not radio played songs.
Yeah, that's fun. And
so just
Gallows Pole is such a good song.
That was one of my favorites walking away from it. I think listening to this album, this is what I wished country music sounded like. Both my parents listen to country music too, and I just get so annoyed. I get so bored listening to their crappy pop country music that they like. Brad Paisley is probably the most tolerable one. It's what they listen to the most, but just like crappy stuff on whatever basic country music radio station.
Couldn't get no silver, I couldn't get no gold. You know the way I'm too damn poor, the gallows pole. silver as you get a little gold. I want till you bring me my brother, keep me from the gallows pole.
This is what I wish country music sounded like. I feel like there was like the banjo and gallows pole was really nice. There were a couple other songs. Let me see the list. You've got the list.
Yeah, I got the list pulled up.
Let me see. I really like That's the Way. I thought that was a really good one.
Yeah, that's a really heartfelt one.
I think Celebration Day I really enjoyed. But definitely the ones that were more folksy.
Yeah.
Like where there's some banjo played in there. I didn't like the second to last song. I can't pronounce it. Bronze.
Runway or Stomp.
Yeah. That one was just kind of boring. I felt like, I don't know. It was just kind of quieter than all of the other songs. I listened to them all in a row like twice, and that was like probably one of the softest songs.
Broadway R?
I think so. Maybe I'm misremembering it.
That's the Way is pretty soft.
Oh, maybe I wasn't.
That's the Way is the like simple guitar, and he's singing about the boy next door.
Well, I don't remember that one, so
Okay.
Also that one probably was those two were my least favorite. But like I liked all of them. Or like the last one, it sounded kind of.
Hats off to Roy Harper. Yeah, that
change or whatever.
That's like, what Zeppelin did the most, or what they're most well remembered for. What they did the earliest, I guess, was, add this like crazy energy to the blues.
Yeah.
They would pull. Most of the controversy around them nowadays revolves around them plagiarizing music.
They plagiarize music? When's the last time they put out a new album?
Probably 79 or 80.
Oh. Their old music has been plagiarized by like people that are now coming out.
No. People accuse them of plagiarizing old blues artists. Very obscure. They what they would do is they're a British band. And like a lot of British bands, they developed this interest in American music, and kind of like the rockabilly of the 50s, and then like the older blues stuff.
Is this what kind of sparked the British invasion?
Yeah. It is. And Zeppelin kind of sparked it too. They're kind of progenitors, Rolling Stones, the all group.
Yeah.
But some of the songs they would reference the original material, other ones they wouldn't. But a lot of times, what they did with the songs is just change everything about it, but lift lyrics. So it had this tie-in.
It was sort of like a reverse sample. So like where a hip hop song might take like a hook or something, or like a chord progression and or literally just the instrumental and kind of like change it and add stuff to it.
Yeah.
They were doing that, but for lyrics.
Yeah, and they would incorporate.
Which seems lazier, by the way.
Yeah.
Like it's one thing if you're like writing a completely different song lyric wise, like that's your focus as a rapper or something like that, and you're just like sampling something for the instrumental.
And that changed too. A lot of that stuff happened on like the first two albums. They put out the first 4 albums in like 2 years.
They were busy.
They were very busy. It started in like 69. And
how many albums are there from Led Zeppelin?
8 or 9. It's confusing on Spotify because there's so many like extended versions and stuff.
Remastered.
So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably Houses of the Holy, and then Physical Graffiti, and then I think there's another one, and then there's Presence and Into the Outdoor. And they definitely evolved with time.
Yeah.
They got more experimental, but the early stuff was like this dark, more energetic, and much, much louder take on the blues. The third album was like when they first started to diverge from that, and it was very folksy.
Yeah.
And I at first I didn't like the third album as much as the other ones, but it really grew on me.
I really enjoyed it, having listened to maybe 2 songs that were on that album prior to listening to it.
Yeah.
I didn't. I heard Immigrant's song. I've heard that one many times.
Yeah,
That's like a very popular song. Wasn't that what was in Thor Ragnarok?
Yes. Yep. It's funny. It's like the most well-known song on the album, but it like fits the least.
Yeah. No, after that song, I was expecting more songs like that, like maybe Kashmir being on the album.
Oh.
I would have thought like maybe I'd find that halfway through the album, but like it just turned into a very folksy, almost country sounding, album. I really did it.
I thought about giving you Physical Graffiti, which is the album that has Kashmir on it. But that would have been a journey. That album is pretty long, I think. Kashmir is like a 9-minute song.
Upwards of an hour or something like that.
Yeah, Kashmir itself is 9 minutes, I think.
Oh yeah. I've had that song on repeat. The way I listen to music is like I'll find songs that I really like and I just listen to them on repeat while I, mindlessly do something else like play League or whatever.
Yeah.
But
that song works pretty well for that.
Very rarely do I find myself just listening to music, like unless it's like a car trip. Like tomorrow, I will be going to San Antonio to see my family, and from North Carolina, that's 20 hours in the car. So I will be listening to some music.
Yeah.
Like I haven't in a year or more. So maybe I'll be listening to some more Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, you should listen to the first album.
I will do that.
I really like that album too. It's very cool. It's just a really neat. Cool album.
This Jimmy Page guy is pretty cool.
Yeah, this Jimmy Page guy, he could play anything with strings on it. Just blisters in on the banjo. He played the mandolin.
He played the mandolin?
Led Zeppelin IV is probably their objectively best album. Right. You probably recognize the most songs off of it, but it has this more fantastical theme to it. They got really medieval with it.
Oh, I think I'd like that. I think
Stairway to Heaven on it.
I mean, I've heard that so many times and it's so long I just get bored of it now.
Yeah, well, it's but that's where it started, and it's a super famous song, and it's still a good song, even if you've heard it too many times,
sure.
which happens. I've heard Immigrant Song too many times.
Yeah,
I really like the live version of Immigrant Song that they have in one of their other albums because it gets wilder, but
gets wacky,
gets crazy. There's a solo, but Led Zeppelin IV has some of the best songs they've ever made. That is their most famous song.
Yeah.
And it has that more fantastical theme. Although, now that I think about it, I think Led Zeppelin II has Ramble On, which also has Lord of the Rings references in it.
Ooh.
Robert Plant liked Lord of the Rings a lot for some reason.
Before it was cool.
Yeah, he would make nonsensical references, though. Like Saving a Princess from Mordor. And he's commented on that and said, I don't know why I did that.
He was just reading. He was just reading that day. He was just kind of interested.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
Immigrant Song is cool. They made that song, I believe, either on their way or coming back from a tour in Iceland. Yeah.
Welcome to the land of the ice and snow.
Yeah. So it was this sort of tongue-in-cheek reference to themselves as Vikings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of got blown out of proportion because people refer to the band now as the Hammer of the Gods, which is one of the things they say in the song. It's very, very dramatic.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Valhalla awaits you, or whatever they say after Valhalla.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of skinny British kids singing about being Norse Vikings.
That is funny.
But yeah.
It's a very good album. I would recommend it. Oops. Let me adjust my microphone here.
I know a fair amount of things about this band. My younger brother knows much more. He kind of fell in love with the band completely. I think he is what you would call a stan.
He stands. He stands
for Led Zeppelin.
He's a Stan Zeppelin.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I found some of their music and I would listen to it like a couple years ago, and then I stopped for a while, and then I came back and I kind of went through all of it, and I was like, dang, this is good. By that point, he had already discovered it on his own and was deep into it. He plays drums. Okay. So he emulates John Bonham. He really wants to be like John Bonham.
What was the classic rock band who had a drummer with only one hand? Or one arm?
Oh, I don't know.
There was a drummer who only had one arm. One single arm. Can you imagine that? You need two arms to drum, people, but this man had one.
Use both feet and your teeth.
Drummer with one arm. Let's find that.
Richard John Cyril Allen for Def Leppard. That's what I was going to say. I didn't want to look like a dummy when it was something like
That's cool.
not Def Leppard.
Def Leppard.
They only had one arm. Imagine trying
Wonder what
to
his booty
write
sound
something
like.
with
I
no
kinda-
arms.
I'm curious to listen to the music now.
Def Leppard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know what he did. I'm going to look up a YouTube video.
That would be cool. I really like listening to the drums in music. I think if I were to pick up an instrument, that would be what I would most want to do, is to drum. Or piano, but I feel like that would be like, I don't know. I feel like the skill cap on that is so much higher than drumming. I feel like, I know it's debatable, but I feel like I already have, I feel like I'm more equipped to play the drums currently. Mm-hmm. I feel like I would be a better beginner drum player than I would be a beginner piano player. I have almost no experience like with, music theory and stuff like that, so I would have to learn about notes and I would have to learn about chords and stuff like that. With drumming, it's just like, it's 9 or 10 pieces and maybe there's like different ways to hit cymbals and you got kick drums and stuff like that.
You're learning patterns.
Yeah, you're learning patterns. I feel like I have decent rhythm. I'm really good at like rhythm games and I feel like I can keep rhythm pretty decently.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would be more equipped to learn how to be a drummer. I feel like I would excel at drumming more than I would piano. I'm not saying it's like easy to drum. I know it's very hard to like the patterns that you learn when you drum is like very intricate. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I would be.
You could build up the physical, technical skill to do it without having to worry about learning all the stuff.
Exactly.
The thing about any instrument, I think guitar falls into a similar thing actually, because you can learn patterns. A lot of the way songs are presented now when you learn them online is through tablature, which is just numbers telling you where to put your fingers on the strings. Yeah.
Not as the chord that they are or the notes or...
Yeah, or the chord, but you just learn the shape for it. Mm-hmm. The theory behind it, the harmonies between notes, it's all stuff you can skip over. And I have for a very long time. But there's a point, I think this happens with drums too, where you've gone pretty far, but you've hit a wall because you don't know how to work with other players or how to build on what you've learned. Like you
can't just say, all right, I'm going to hit 7-2, 7-3, and then I'm going to go into a 4. Like you have to like know how to communicate that to other musicians, or is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yeah, and you have to be able to. I've played a little bit at my church recently, and one of the most awkward things is when they change the key of the song, or I encounter chords I haven't seen before. I'm trying to make sense of them. Like I have some knowledge about scales and where the notes are on guitar. Yeah. So when I see like a weird blending of two chords, I'll do my best to figure it out. Yeah. But if I don't have time beforehand, it's gonna be bad. Yeah. And when they tell me to shift the entire key, if I'm not playing the whole thing in bar chords, which are when you play a bar chord, you like essentially the end of the guitar where all the strings lay over. The metal bar you put your whole finger over a fret. So like it's like you moved up the end of the guitar, so everything's shifted up, and now you can play chord shapes on top of that. So if you're playing in those, and they're like, hey, up 2 steps, just slide everything up. But if you're not, there's a whole mental skill set that I don't have,
just
and I haven't needed
to adjust
until this point.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I am not a musical person by any, shake of the lamb's tail, but I've been having to learn more about music theory and notes and stuff like that because my senior design project has been building a synthesizer for the software for like just a controller. It's been a lot of fun to learn some stuff like that.
Yeah,
but so that's been our musical recommendations. I wonder if we should keep doing musical stuff, and like maybe I'll do video game stuff with Tyler, or maybe we can like do a movie or something like that. But I think this has been more interesting than talking about nothing. Although your first podcast, we were getting to know you, and then the last one was getting to know Amaris and David. So I think just having something to talk about for, I guess it's been about segments. 30 minutes.
Yeah,
They were impromptu.
They were impromptu, but I mean, it did get the conversation moving. So I think
it's
just having something to like get the conversation going is definitely good.
We can always just read the news or open fortune cookies.
We could. Speaking of the news, NBA Finals, Game 6. Warriors, or not the Warriors, they lost. The Warriors lost. The Raptors. Canada won. Have you been keeping up with that at all, or are you just not sportish? Sportish. That's German.
What?
Sporty.
What?
You ain't watching basketball?
Nah.
Nah? Okay, so I am a San Antonio Spurs fan, going to San Antonio. Probably would be a Washington fan if my uncle didn't like start working for the Spurs pretty early on in their development. But now I am a Spurs fan. We have had very good success in the early 2000s. Have you heard the name Tim Duncan?
Dude.
I know. No, I'm seeing if this transcends to a person that doesn't know anything about basketball. Because like you've heard of Michael Jordan, right?
Yes, of course.
Have you heard of?
He's the guy in Space Jam.
Yeah, exactly. Tim Duncan is just like right below that, and
He's
I
a baseball player in Space Jam.
Yeah, he is. He's lost. He's
golfer.
a lost soul.
Is he playing golf or baseball now?
They do go golfing with like Larry Bird and Bill Murray.
Oh, that sounds fun. I know who Larry Bird is.
Yeah, he's one of those players. But Tim Duncan is like one of those players who it's like every person who knows anything about basketball will know who Tim Duncan is, who Tony Parker is.
Can you tell me something that Tim Duncan
is known for?
Yeah.
Nothing. He's bland. He's like a boring guy.
Oh.
He won his 5th championship in like 18 years of playing or something like that. Whatever the number is, maybe I guess it was 2014 at the time. So he was playing for 15 years. That was his 5th championship. Day after, he was in his like decently expensive car in the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A, and somebody had the picture of him, and the joke was like, yeah, can I get one chicken looks at his 5th championship ring. Actually, make it 2 Chick-fil-A chicken sandwiches. It's like he's just a very quiet, boring guy. And I think a lot of like those types of really strong and powerful, but just shyer and quiet,
reserved,
tempered players want to go to San Antonio because of the coach. The coach is Greg Popovich, and he is just one of the most no-nonsense but efficient coaches. He's like the Bill Belichick, who's the Patriots coach. You know how the Patriots are just consistently
they always go
good?
to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they're just always consistently good is because the coaching is just so good. And they have like good supporting cast.
My brother's trapped at NTB.
Your brother is trapped at MTV?
Yeah. No, National Tire and Battery.
Oh, NTB.
NTB.
They said MTV.
That would be cool. He's in a reality TV
You gotta head out to get your brother?
I might. Yeah, he seems distressed.
Well, that's what we get for taking an hour to set up the audio equipment.
Was it worth it?
Probably. I think so. We got 58 minutes. Probably.
That's pretty good. I was going to say, my team in the Overwatch League didn't win any games. Oh, shoot. Okay. My team in the Overwatch League didn't win any games last stage. There's 4 stages a season. They won 0 games.
Yeah.
They became garbage. They were okay. They became garbage.
What team is this?
Houston Outlaws.
Houston, okay.
They have probably too large and too vocal a fan base. It's probably not got support from hardcore gamers. But Houston Outlaws played very badly. They came back this season. They won 2 out of 5 maps against one of the best teams in the league, and they played their second match this season.
Let me guess. London Spitfire.
No, it was NYXL.
Okay.
They won 2 matches against NYXL and lost in Game 5. They haven't won a single Game 5 the whole season.
Yeah.
Only goes to Game 5 if both teams are 2-2 by the end of the 4. And they went against San Francisco Shock last night.
They finally won a series.
Yeah, and SF Shock this season is one of the top 3 teams.
Wow.
With Nixle and I think Vancouver Titans. And they beat them in a Game 5. So I went again. I was so sad, so disappointed. I was willing to throw in the towel, and they've surprised me.
Good job.
And that's my sports.
That's it from
That's
sports corner. But anyway, Kawhi Leonard used to play for the Spurs. He was drafted to the Spurs. He spent his first, he's 27 now, so probably the first 4 years with the Spurs. was the MVP in the championship for 2014. Was like was the most valuable player in the most important series. Beat LeBron James. And
who's LeBron James?
You don't know LeBron James. James Harden does have a beard. Good job.
Yeah.
This is basketball.
Yeah.
Baby. Whoa. First time I'll have to turn down the audio. But he basically 2 years ago he had a really bad injury and he was just having a really long recovery process, and apparently his team, you know, which consisted of his agent and like his uncle, you know, people close to him who are helping him get the most of his publicity and stuff like that. They were like, oh, the Spurs don't appreciate you. They want you to hurry up and heal, and you need more time to heal. They don't understand. Why are you even playing for San Antonio? You should go play for the Lakers. You should go play for the Knicks. You should play for a team that has more, like a bigger fan base so that you can make more money. And so ultimately that's what he did. He didn't play for the Spurs at all in the 2017-2018 season because he was hurt. But also he didn't want to hurt himself anymore, and he knew that...
Oh, shit. Is this the guy that came back and then destroyed? Because I read some article.
Yeah. He was out for a year from an injury, and then he stopped playing after he was like 95%. He probably could have played and not hurt himself, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to play for the Spurs because he didn't think they appreciated him or something like that.
Yeah. I did read about this.
And so instead of, you know, we had 1 year left of our contract with him. So either we hold on to him for a year, see if he changes his mind and plays for us, and then after that year is up, he does not have to sign a contract with San Antonio. He can go wherever he wants. Or while we still have the rights to him for a year, we can trade him away, try and get a different player that might want to stay after that their contract is up.
Expires, yeah.
It's called, like, you know, once their contract is up, you have the option to like lose them as an asset. But because he didn't want to play for us, we didn't want him to like sit on the bench and sulk for a year and then lose and then we get nothing out of it. We traded him to Toronto, the Raptors, for their best player essentially, DeMar DeRozan, and like an extra player who's, I think his name is Pirtle, something like that. But just like, you know, he was like a mid-tier player. Yeah. So Kawhi goes to Toronto for a year, and everybody's like, well, this is it. This is our biggest chance we've ever had to win a championship because we have an all-star player on our team, and we have a really good supporting cast. And everybody's been trying to make him feel as welcome to home as he wants because they know he only has a year. They take the 1 year left contract from San Antonio. They take that on. They start paying him for it, but he's playing for Toronto now. Yeah. So they know after the year is done, you know, he can go sign whoever he wants with whoever he wants if they have the money to pay him.
Right.
And you know he's going to get as much money as possible. It's called a supermax contract. $200 million plus over 5 years. A lot of money. So Toronto had 1 year with Kawhi Leonard, and they won the championship. Nice. They beat the Golden State, or essentially the San Francisco / Oakland Warriors, who were going for their third straight championship or their fourth championship in 5 years. Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, all those guys.
Yeah, I know those guys.
So on one hand, I'm happy for Kawhi. You know, I don't hold it against him. I wish he was still with the Spurs, but of course, you know, I still appreciate everything that he did for the San Antonio. So I'm happy for him. But at the same time, I'm sad. Yeah. Your brother is calling, so I think it's time to end things. So yeah, this has been a very fun episode.
All right, hey guys, yeah, thank you.
Let us know what you want us to review, music-wise, movie-wise, book-wise, anything-wise. We're coming at you next time.
Get wild with it. Wait, we can both be that guy?
Yeah, we can both be that guy.
We can both be this guy.
Well, I will catch you next episode on Chaotic
Tired.